Okay, are we ready?
Ready, let's go.
Excellent. Okay, well, welcome to stage 2 of Trickle Demand Marketing. So we'll explain more about that, but this all originates from our 3-stage lodging playbook during and post pandemic. It's been pretty awful for all of us connected to the lodging industry, and everyone's affected. And so this is kind of our way to help and give extra boost. There, you can't totally mitigate the effects of a pandemic on your business, but there's a lot that we can control, even in the midst of not being able to control other things. So yeah, we'll walk through this. If you haven't, you probably are here because you've seen our playbook. It's really in depth and should give you a lot of practical things. So we learned from last Monday and tried to cover, I think, too much. And so the hope is to focus in depth on 3 things: one that's short term, one's that's short and long term, and one that is more of a long term. So 3 areas that we're kind of covering today. As before, you can expect
if somebody wasn't on Monday, they can get the recording from that, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. You can have access to that recording, and we'll include that as well. So our goal is for this to be practical, action oriented, give you visuals to work from, not just tell you about it, but show you as much as possible. And yeah, we're focused on stage 2 today. So we're going to come back to this agenda. If you don't know, we're Red Oak Local. We're a small team. There's about 5 of us plus others, and we really focus on plus others on an as needed basis. But our small team focused on working in depth with lodging properties. We do other businesses, but we love lodging, and we've specialized since 2014. Work with select registry properties, a lot of ALP members, and we love helping to grow direct bookings. Anything else you want to say there?
No.
Okay.
Our names, maybe Matt and Leah.
Yeah, as we said.
Especially for me, because I'm not on these.
I'm Matt, founder, managing director. This is Leah, my wife, and director of content. So
he said queen of content in the email. We just can't put that as my official title on
queen of, yeah, more. So the playbook has 4 goals, and I won't go in depth through these, but the goal is to get revenue flowing or keep it flowing as much as possible. Strengthen relationship with your audience and your past guests, build your brand in a tasteful way, and then plan and build for the future. So we'll be kind of hitting several of those points. The 3 stages that we've kind of identified, kind of broad categories that we're all going to move through or maybe move into and back. You know, we don't know how this pandemic is going to play out long term and the individual states' response to it, but we're anticipating seeing these 3 stages, and a lot of us are still in the stage 1 for our business, and that is crisis mode. There's in a lot of cases folks are fearful or not able to because of local or state restrictions to travel, and it's just essential travel. We are moving in some cases to stage 2, and that's trickle demand marketing. What we're saying is it's coming slowly. People are released from lockdowns. They're starting to take some trips, and especially in the South, we're seeing properties in Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Texas. People are starting to travel for non-essential reasons because of some of the restrictions opening up, and they're starting to schedule things. They're either coming now in some cases, or they're starting to book further down the line, and that's exciting. And then down the road, it's going to take a while. Strong demand marketing, and so that's where that stage is, where things are starting to pick back up to normal. So we'll get to that in a couple of weeks in a webinar and kind of dive into that. We want to give you guys a chance to digest these first 2 stages, because we know that that's kind of where we're going to find ourselves sooner than later. So those are kind of the 3 stages overall there. Anything I missed?
Oh, back up to the agenda.
Yeah, bring it down here. Okay. So you guys can see where we're going. I leave this on the side, and so you can kind of see what's upcoming and where we're going. Same for us. So our agenda. You're laughing at the meme.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're Friday casual day.
Oh.
So we got a meme in here. So the agenda for today is one, focus on your best future guests. And those are your past guests. It's easy. It seems obvious, but we'll talk about that and how the promotion booster triangle, how to use that. We'll try to make it visual based, and then we're going to give you a swipe file to take and use with that. That's the short-term thing. Your website is number two, and we're going to talk about some short and longer term updates to make and to think about for your property. Things you might already be thinking about. We can lend a marketing, branding perspective to it. And number three, content that compels. Talking about discovery content, travel channel type content, discover your area type of thing. Really untapped opportunity for a lot of lodging properties. And then connection content. I think that's kind of your domain. Is there anything you want to say there?
Nope.
Okay, we'll get to.
I will say that if you have questions as we're going, I know how hard it is to remember questions until the end. You can feel free to drop those in the comment thing on the side. We'll be watching that as we go. So that way, if you think of something, you don't have to try to remember it until we're finished. That's hard to do.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We've got it up in the corner here and do our best to respond and connect with you there. So let's talk about, so number one is the best future guests are past guests. It's easy to focus on trying to get new people in the door and forget the fact that your past guests, those are the people that already know, like, and trust you. They've voted for your property out of the hundreds and thousands of others. They voted for your property and they've spent real money with you. They voted with their dollars. And so we're going to focus on that with the promotion booster triangle. And it's a method that we use that we're going to share in depth with you here. And then next webinar, we're going to talk about your second best group. And those are those that are influenced by your past guest. So it's all about your reputation and how to further that connection. Because if you think about it, since the beginning of time, businesses and humans have created businesses, and they've been shared by, they've been promoted by word of mouth, people telling others about the experience that they had. They had a great experience, they share about it, and it builds slowly over time. And we have some unique opportunities to further that in the digital age. And so we'll talk more about that. But bringing people back that have been with you in the past is really a big focus and something we're going to talk about today. This is a ridiculous meme since it's Friday. I won't quite pull a John Krasinski on you, but we thought we'd go a little.
Some good news in case any of you
some
have
good
not
news.
been watching.
It's kind of a fun quarantine focus show that he came up with. So, but this is a meme that floats around often, and we see it a lot. And so it's basically, lodging properties, always looking at that exciting new thing. We see it all the time. We've gone after it ourselves, but really your best future guest, just kind of illustrating the point, those are your past guests. It's easy to forget and pursue, and they may not be ready for an immediate return, but delighting and reaching and delighting them is really key. So, all right, I'm going to come down here. So this all, I want to think about a hub and spoke type of model throughout all of this. So everything that we're talking about is about strengthening and building your media asset, basically becoming a media company and making sure that you control that circle. So your website, your media assets, your website being the most critical, along with the email list, those are the core types of things that you can control. And then your outposts, those spokes that go out, are where you gather attention, where people find you on Google, where people they hear about you on social media, those types of things. Even OTAs can play a part in that and come back to your core business. And that is often a really strong online presence focused on your website. Anything else you want to say there? Okay. I'll just come back up here. And So our family we moved to Michigan last year, to be back closer to some family, and we went on a trip to Mackinac Island. I hadn't been there since we were a kid. On the way coming back from the island, we were on a ferry. You may have done this yourself if you're in the Midwest. And beautiful trip, expensive but beautiful. And we were coming back, and we had a line of Expedia employees, a group that had been over there for a work kind of trip coming back behind us. And I think you would do a better job kind of summarizing the interaction.
Okay,
But,
so yeah,
so our family's in front, all about independent lodging and direct bookings, and what I consider a necessary evil maybe behind us. So
yeah, so they're sitting behind us and they're talking, and I can just overhear them, just barely on the ferry. Ferries are pretty loud, and we have a gaggle of children, so bits and pieces. But they're talking about Expedia and how they're all Expedia execs, and they were out on the island, and they couldn't believe how if you're not a Midwesterner, the Grand is the biggest hotel on Mackinac, and so they were talking about how they couldn't believe that the Grand wasn't on Expedia, and what are they doing that they don't have to be on there, and this and that. And so I poked Matt and I said, hey, I think those people all work for Expedia, and he goes, oh, okay. So he turned around and he was like, oh, I couldn't help but overhearing, but you guys were talking about the Grand not being on Expedia, and they were like, oh yeah, and it's one of those saving grace moments where like the two of us together are better than the one of us. So because I was fired up with what their answer was just that, it's so great what people like you do for small businesses, but really we're the ones saving small properties and giving them the opportunity to book online. And I was like, I just was so surprised that they were just at an island where none of the independent properties require OTAs, and several of them don't even use them because they control that kind of flow, that kind of
they've invested in their own marketing
to make it the spot, the spot that you want to be. When you think of Mackinac, you think of the Grand, and so just kind of how that works. And so to have that experience and to be like, oh man, that's why what we do for our clients is so important, because we're saying, hey, we're for independent properties to do what they need to do in their area, to be that destination, that hub, and kind of point people to them over and over and over again. So that's why we specifically chose these three things to talk about. Yes,
that's right. And it just goes into that investing in she's work from home cries. We're investing in, no one looks at an OTA and says, oh, thank you, I want you to take 15-20% from me. But until we invest in our own marketing and our own type of opportunities, then we're very reliant on them. So I think it's that Mackinac Island. So the number one, the promotion booster triangle. This is when you get these three things correct and do those well, this is a really big help to get your message out. So it needs three, as you can tell, three things. It needs a strong offer. It needs to be distributed through email marketing, direct to your guests, no intermediaries. You have their email, they've asked you, allowed you to follow up with them in some way. Take that opportunity to talk directly with them. And then the third piece is boomerang ads. So that's retargeting is the technical term for that. And that's people that have shown an interest in your audience in some way, following back up with them through ads, typically on Facebook and Instagram. So let's dive into that a little bit more. So this is important, like I said, because you control it. It's cost effective in the grand scheme of things. It targets people who know, like, and trust you, and it grows with more inputs. I'll talk about that at the end here. So number one, the offer or the message. So think about this as a framework that you can put a lot of different things into, and I'll give a very specific example here. And then, like I said, we'll talk about some swipe copy for you to use. So the offer, the message should live on your website. That's the hub that you're going to use. It allows you to tweak things and point everything back to it. If you need to pivot and make a exclusion in there, you can do that. You don't have to go to 3 different places and do that. But it also allows people to come to your website and get lost exploring your site, watching your videos, looking at your pictures, and dreaming about their experience in your property. So the offer, the message is, can be a number of things. It can be an ongoing special. It could be a package. It could be something we'll talk about in a minute, like a reopening special. It could be a gift card promotion. It could be any of those types of things that are typically sales oriented that you want to then get the message out. And how do you do that effectively so people consider it, so they take action, and so they hear about it in the first place? Because I see a lot of properties doing a special and then leaving it on their website, or when I get to it, it's very functional, and the list of exclusions is longer than the introduction and the opportunity to really dream about it. And then they just share it on social media perhaps, or maybe they just do one email about it and it's very long, and what do I have to do to take action on this? So they're getting this into a system is the real key. No piece stands on its own as well as inside of the system. The second piece is email marketing. I'll talk about the inverse pyramid when we get to examples. And then really, like I said, talking to your guests directly on an ongoing basis. There's really no better way to continue to connect with them. Resending your campaign. You want to work with a provider that allows, well, and really any, you can work around it, but I'd encourage you in today's day and age to resend any campaigns that you send through your email marketing. If you don't know, MailChimp is free up to a certain amount. There's a lot of other options available. There's more advanced options that we tend to use with clients, but MailChimp is a great place to start. I've not used it, but MailerLite is an option. ConvertKit is a little more easier to use. So there's lots of different options that if you can tell me more details. If you want to shoot an email, I can give you a recommendation. But you're going to want to resend your campaign 3 to 7 days later, because this picture says it all. We're moving fast. We're moving fast. Our inboxes are full, and we just miss stuff. Even people that have stayed with you multiple times, love your property, stay nowhere else, they're still going to miss it from time to time. So resend your campaign. You're not spamming them. You are just making sure that they see it, and you can do that in a really good way. We typically will change the subject line and leave everything else the same, and just resend that, and you'd be surprised at the number of people that end up seeing it. The third piece is Boomerang Ads. This is a little more technical to set up, but overall a really effective piece, because typically 7, 8, 9 times you have to be in front of people, especially on a big decision like a getaway, before they're going to take action on that. So even if you're sending an email, someone might see that email, consider it, and then forget about it. You can follow up to those same type of people with an ad on social media. So we'll talk more kind of about this, but having a boomerang ad or 2 going out for that same offer. So just to kind of review, the strong offer with email marketing and boomerang ads. So they're getting connected with on email, which a lot of people still use out of necessity, and then social media, where they go to hang out. Those are the 2 best places to get that offer strong visibility. Okay. So to give you, and if you have, like I said, have questions along the way, shoot them into the chat. This is a client, Country Inn in Camden, Rockport, on the coast of Maine, and they are, we're doing a gift certificate special right now, and so this is their offer page. So to show you an example of that option, of what that might look like. We've talked about lots of some copy to introduce them to the idea, to talk to them and kind of help them dream. We've included a link on more details about what they're doing, so they can know that they can trust us, that we're a professional property. And then we've given them the special, and how to take action in that special. We can give them a little reminder, and then we've given a little bit of some exclusions. It has to be used when booking direct. It cannot be used on OTAs when booking with Expedia or something like that. Yours might look differently, but it's pretty long. But if someone's considering, they're going to take the time to read it, and they're going to want to continue to help them dream and build trust with them. Even if they've stayed with you before, it's time well invested, because it increases that connection that you have with them. So that's the offer page, and this is just a screenshot of that. We followed up, and this is one of the emails we sent to promote that. So need something to look forward to, and we talked about a little bit about spring, and so it wasn't a hard sell. It was talking about that. If you're already thinking about a trip, here's reasons to start planning now. And then I cut off because it was getting long. There was specific how to act on it, and that's a phone number to call. So it shortens what's here, and it gives them, if they want to call, or it sends them to this page for more details here. So that is an email that goes out to anyone that signed up on their website, anyone that's been a guest in the past couple of years. And we follow up regularly, and we get very high open rates. This was opened by at least a couple of thousand people, and they're not a huge we've just went back and found a lot of their things, but a lot of people have opened and looked at this and considered this. And we just launched this last week, and I believe we sold a couple $1,000s in gift certificates from this so far. So the other piece to it too is that social ad, and that social ad is where it's going out to. So this might be the perfect event, gift certificate special. Here's some of our updates, and just being pretty gentle overall with it. So this goes right back to their deal page, and it allows them to then hit this page and consider that. So so I need to create a graphic. I haven't done that yet, to kind of visualize some of the audiences it's going to, but this ad is not going to just everyone. If someone's never stayed with you, or never really wanted to stay with you, has never heard of you, they're not going to purchase a gift certificate in any decent amount. So we're following up, like I said, targeting those people that have stayed with them, that have expressed an interest in staying, and that have considered it by making it to their website, interacting with social media. So you'll see here are their active email addresses, and so this is an audience. So these are all audiences that we can select within the ad and target. So this is their active email addresses. So people that we already have their email, Facebook can match them up, and it's all anonymous data. So, but they match them up to accounts, and then we can target them through that. Then we've got engagement. So if someone has liked, commented, messaged the page, if they watch some of the videos, then they've engaged with the page, and then we can do that for up to a year after they've done that and follow up with them. And then the third audience is their website traffic. This is WCA, stands for Website Custom Audience, and that means that this is all their visitors over the past 6 months. And Facebook has matched them with user accounts. It often, not often, but it can it can't connect people, I guess, to that if they're not logged into Facebook at the time or whatnot. And so, but this gives a good mix of all the people that have been on their website. So they've been on their website, engaged with us on social media, or we have their email. And there's other more advanced things, but promoting to this group with an ad like this is a pretty neat experience. And I went back, we're still just launching this and getting this going, but I went back to, let's see here. This is one we did a while ago. One of my favorites though. And this is for a resort called Christopher Place Resort. And it's, we've got a gallery. So it doesn't feel like an ad. It's like, wow, look at this place. This is awesome. And it's got some emojis in it. Those are great things to do. A little bit of intro copy, and then this took them to their packages page because we had 2 packages we were promoting at the time. We dropped a comment in here. So it has a very organic feel, even though we're promoting it out to folks and getting their interaction. So this alone, we spent just $50 on this and got some great interactions and website traffic that came through. And like we said, it reinforced what we sent them through email as well. So just to give you guys an idea in terms of, let's see here, post engagements, people sharing it, people clicking on links, people page likes, and comments in terms of that. So it's a great way to continue to steward that garden, which is your audience. So that's the one thing I want to encourage you with is this is a look at our in progress or our garden and our in progress orchard. You can see this table. We've got 25 degrees weather happening tonight, so we have not put things in. But this is right now is the mess of part of our yard that is turning into an entirely mulched orchard. And right now we're putting a lot of inputs into the system and we're not getting a lot out. We're getting some spinach. That's great. This is stuff we did last year. We're getting feedback from. We're getting, but this orchard, we're not going to get much this year. We're going to get some strawberries. This is now 4 strawberry beds. You're excited about that, right?
Most excited about that.
And
we'll work for strawberries.
That's right. And so we're not getting a lot of inputs, but next year the inputs will go down significantly and the outputs will start a little bit. The year after that, the outputs will get to enjoy the fruit. And all of this these are blueberries and josta berries and honeyberries and elderberries. We've not pictured our trees like pears and plums and goji berries. So we got
Don't let the table fool you. That's like a whole yard worth of stuff.
It's all packed in there. So Saskatoon berries. So
I think you just like saying Saskatoon.
I do. Okay. It just sounds cool. So my encouragement is this is not a short-term thing. This is a long-term. Build up your audience, build up your traffic, but make sure that you reach back out to them through email, through advertising that targets back at them through the promotion booster triangle. It's worthwhile. The inputs are heavier on the front end. The outputs will keep on going month after month, year after year. The last thing we want to talk about with this is swipe copy. So we've got this. Could you kind of just walk through a little bit on this?
For sure. So swipe copy is literally this, just that you can swipe copy from us. So I wrote this up for y'all to be able to use this. If you want to go today and start using the promotion triangle, you can do this. So you want to make sure your offer is very clear before you start. We find offers most compelling if there is a discount provided as part of the offer.
But typically with multiple night stays.
Yes,
that's where you're going to make more money and you can pass that along. And it doesn't always have to be a discount involved. It can be, you'll talk about that.
So yes, okay. So you see, I have it's a tiered special. That is one of the examples. It's like a 15% off for 2 nights, 20 for 3, and 25% for anything over 4. You're getting people in the door for longer with each additional percentage. I know everyone has just gone through a pandemic and being shut down. So we're going to be even more sensitive to giving discounts. We were talking about this last night, or maybe it was Wednesday after after we've had a couple of different opportunities to talk about this week. And just the reality is that supply of rooms is going to be very high and demand is going to be very low for a while. And so maybe last year you were able to raise your prices because you were booked at 75%. This summer, that may not be the reality. So while discounts can feel like you're diluting your brand, we're not asking you to do this forever. But if you feel like it's diluting your brand, maybe lower your per night room rate and then offer the other idea would be a value added promo. So one of our clients is doing a value added promo instead. So you get a welcome basket at 2 nights, and at 3 nights you get their hand thrown coffee mugs that everyone loves at independent properties.
From Deneen Pottery.
Deneen, thank you.
I'm sure some of you have done that.
Yes.
People love them. They're expensive, but they're awesome.
So we do, we recommend offers on multiple night stays. You're still going to get single night stays. People are going to be reminded of them through the triangle. So you're still going to book those, but offering a promotion at multiple night stays. So here you can see as you scroll down, this is copy for the email. I have a subject line. I have a secondary subject line. Not all email providers offer that secondary subject line. So if that does not apply to you, you can just delete it. Literally, you're meant to be able to copy and paste this, except for you have to add your own offer. I structured it around the percentage, the tiered percentage offer. Can you go back up, please? Thanks. Oh, thanks. So you'll see I did the squared brackets for things that you need to change out. Like Matt said, we really, really want you to be successful with this and want to help. So if, especially later on down, as there's more information that you need to add, if you need to send an email that says like, hey, could you help me craft some language with this? Of course, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know and I'm happy to do that. So we can copy and paste this into your email provider, make sure your offer is clear, make sure that you're changing anything inside of these square brackets, your innkeeper name, and then your team. I like to include the team. I think it makes it feel you're interacting with the whole team when you're there. So I like doing that. Social media post is, you can also copy and paste this into Facebook. This is the ad that you're going to boost. I tend to go a little more emotion evoking in my copy. Maybe that's not your jam. That's cool. You could easily take out this paragraph if emotion evoking is not your copy jam. So, but you can copy and paste that. You can link back to your other pages, which I have copy for as well, and do just like that Christopher Place ad that Matt just showed you, or the Country Inn ad that goes just to the deal. It's that simple. We just want to keep linking these things around in the triangle. You want to make sure that you have, specials updated on your website. You should have a specials tab on your website where you can add this, then you can link to it from the social. You can link to it from your email so that it's going, you don't have to give every detail of the special event in every email and in every social media post. You can just send a link, say more details here. Make sure that you make it super clear how to get it. If your booking engine doesn't make it easy to put in discounts, or because you want to get people on the phone during this time, have them call. Maybe your staff is probably looking really different right now. That's okay. Have them call like during business hours. That's totally fine. That's how most of our specials are going right now. And it's working just fine.
If you're an independent property, I've looked at lots of booking engines and the breakdown of online bookings versus phone bookings. And I would say 60 to 70% of people, even with a great booking engine, like Think Reservations, even with one that just lays it out really nicely, ResNexus is pretty good. Even with something like that, people want to call and talk, especially in this time. So they're probably going to call anyway, but especially now.
Well, and the beauty of an independent property is that not every room is necessarily exactly the same. And so I want to talk to you about what room is going to best fit our needs.
That's right.
For this situation. So they are going to call instead of trying to get that on their own. I've included a letter to guests. This is the part that's the least formed because I don't know specifically what everybody is doing. So I have questions that you need to be asking yourselves to be able to answer then in copy. This is the part where like, hey, if you need help crafting some language, I can help you do that. That's not a problem. An overview. Are you going to have maybe a window between guests using, are you going to have like a gap in between guests using the same room? Are you going to deliver breakfasts to rooms? Are you going to change decor in rooms to make it more more easy to tell that guests, so that guests aren't concerned about throw pillows, for example, or whatever in your room? Just kind of throw some of those out in your overview. Everyone should probably be I hate extremes. You probably should be thinking about updating your cancellation policy at this point if you haven't already. People are just going to be more gun shy to make like that full commitment at this point. I could give you lots of examples from my own, what we're doing right now at our own house we just don't know.
Yeah, and we're looking at the data. It's too early to tell, but in general, I'm seeing you're going to get more bookings if you have a relaxed cancellation policy, and you're going to have abusers of it who just take advantage, but you're going to make up for it by getting more people to take action because it's relaxed. Still seeing that, whether that bears out in specific data, but that's what I'm seeing the industry go to, and stay away from advanced purchase discounts, where you don't get any type of your deposit back if you cancel at all. It's just not the time for that.
Of course, you can update your cancellation policy to include like, hey, we're going to suggest that you take it as a voucher for later use, and things like that, so that when it's a cancel, you're not just straight losing that income on that. How are you doing breakfast differently? Are you doing reservations in the dining room? Are you moving tables farther apart? Are you seating people at every other tables? Are you delivering breakfast to people's rooms or cottages? Are you using disposable containers when you deliver, so that, it just tell them all the things that you've thought through already during your stay and cleaning to protect. This one I did leave in. Obviously, feel free to change any of this language, but your housekeeping staff's gonna be less likely to go into their room even during a long stay. So what are things that you're doing to make them more comfortable while they're there? Bigger trash bags, more towels, things like that you've already thought through. But then as a reminder, maybe hang up the towels if you're going to be here for a week, so that, we're not finding mildewy towels on the floor. Obviously don't spell it out that clearly, but here's all this for you. So
I think some of this was inspired by
Montford.
Yes. So they're not going into the rooms until 3 days after right now, and they're only doing cottages. And so they have some specific things to really limit their staff's exposure to that. So like Leah said, that's going to depend on a lot of different things. So, but hopefully you can use this as kind of a base.
I was gonna say the third part is probably the least copy and paste. The email is copy and paste. The social media is copy and paste. Yeah. So if the letter is something that you're like, I know what I want to say, cool, then you're off to a really good start.
Absolutely. So, and I see in the chat, it says chat is a great way to reconnect. I think people are thirsty for it. I assume you mean getting on the phone, and yeah, I totally agree with that. They want to connect with people. I think one of the great things there's a lot of great things about being a smaller independent property right now, but one of those is you provide personal service to, where people haven't had nearly as much person-to-person service, and they long for that hospitality.
And you've already been doing it. So you're not having to like retrain your staff on how to like have eye contact and person-to-person, just high levels of hospitality. You just do what you do. And that's what's going to make people want to be at your property when we're all allowed to leave our houses again.
Yeah. Think about a 200-room hotel trying to manage this and provide some of the, it's just, it's not going to work as well as it is for us. So I think obviously we're looking at surviving, but I think over in the near and long-term future, I think smaller properties are back. And I think Airbnb is going to have some black marks on it. So I'm excited to see the opportunity is for us. Yes. Steve, yes, absolutely. We'll send you the swipe copy here. We're just going to, this was a quick last minute ad where we could add value. So we're just going to go through and look, just make sure spelling and all that stuff and everything. We'll email that out here in a couple hours after the webinar.
And when we get the video down, video downloaded.
Along with the recording there. Okay. All right. We know how to do a thing.
We know how to do a thing.
So we're 1/3 of the way through and 40 minutes in.
He's like, we should work more together. And I think he's right. We should work more together, but we always get excited.
At the same
time. Yeah, we work together all the time. Work at the same time.
Yeah. So number 2, we're going to talk about is your most important marketing tool, your website. This is one of those foundational things. The promotion booster triangle is promoting and pushing at a higher level, but everything is better when you have a really strong reputation. You have a really strong website that walks people through and becomes your sales employee that works for you 24/7.
Oh, sales employee. That was a better word choice. Yeah. But it is not the field of dreams. You cannot build a website and just think people are going to find it by accident. That's why we work that hub and spokes. That's why we send traffic there via social media, via emails. It is not the field of dreams. Kevin Costner is not coming to you via your website. Right. That it has to work for you, but it's not the field of dreams.
Right. It's a credibility and a way to share with people the experience that they're going to have at your property They're not going to come just because of the website. It's going to be SEO, it's going to be ads, it's going to be word of mouth, those kinds of things.
It's feeding in.
Yep, yeah. That's right. Okay, let me pop back. Where are we at?
That one. Yep.
Okay.
Because that's a caveman.
All right, I'll talk grunt test and you can
Sure.
crafting. Okay, so we're going to talk about some overview. You all have a website. You all, if you're like any of our property owners, that's not your first choice to go work on your website because you have many other things to do, and they're a lot more exciting, hands-on kinds of things, but it's so important. So we'll kind of give you some really clear frameworks to go through to put your website through. So the first is the grunt test, and let's go here.
Yeah.
And that's why this guy's on here. If a caveman can understand it or not.
Can a caveman grunt what it's about in 5 seconds?
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is inspired by a whole kind of marketing philosophy called story brand, and something we've been doing, but they put into really nice, succinct terms that we use with all of our clients. So this is once again the Country Inn at Camden, Rockport, and just to kind of give you a visual as we walk through this. So the grunt test is that someone comes to your site, they need to be able to understand within 3 to 5 seconds what it is that you do, why you're different from the other 30 properties, websites they've just been on. So what is that you do, and then specifically why you're different, and then how do they take action? How do they do that in very clear, action-oriented terms? They will later dive in. People will read. Now this is a little weird because we've got a very visible update.
It's just out of the ordinary.
Yes, typically that is not there, and we have this image here, so it'll be a little broken up here. But at the top, really clearly, we excuse me, people know from the logo the Country Inn at Camden Rockport, but they can quickly take action. They can check availability, they can make a call, they can get directions. So these are very action oriented. They've also have the contact option here. So when this isn't here, you'll be presented with this kind of experience. And this is where quickly we're telling them what it is that you do. Cozy New England Hotel in Camden and Rockport, Maine.
Showing them with pictures what makes them different.
Backing that up. And that's one of the great things about lodging is you have great photos to be able to back that up. And there's lots of different types of property. This is not a luxury property. It's more of a budget, I would say, property for a while. And then the owner that we work with bought it 2019. We started working with early 2018. Working with early 2019 and bringing it up to speed, built a whole new pool area, upgraded breakfast, all of that stuff. So, but very quickly, we're getting into why they are different and what selling, not just themselves, but the location as well. So very quickly they know what it is. They know, they get access to the differences, and whatnot, and then the check availability is a big deal, and we come back with action-oriented things very, very quickly
and very often.
Yes, and they have historically been very reliant on OTAs, and so extra focused on trying to pull business into direct bookings. Okay. We can talk more about exceptional story.
We like to do that most often through crafting an exceptional story. First, to do that well, you have to know who your ideal guest is, and then talk to them about them and their situation. Your inn, while lovely and wonderful, is not for everyone. We have a client that doesn't have children on the property, so that's automatically not a family-friendly place. That's okay.
It's 12 and up.
12 and up. Yeah, 12 and up. That's okay. But it just means that you're not marketing to families. Some places are in a place where it's high tourist area, and some places are not. So you're focusing on romantic getaways just to get away from that hustle and bustle. You have to know who is coming. That's kind of based on what you have, your price points, where you are locationally, and some of those other rules and policies that you have in place. That in that map, just showing you the country in with the updated pool, they are a very family friendly place. They have a playground out back. They have they're doing some updates to some of these things, but there's a miniature golf place right next door. They're a very family friendly place. Okay, so we talk about family friendly in all of our ad copy for them, but then we craft an exceptional story. So here is the biggest difference between what people tend to want to do and what people need to do, from my opinion about this and what we've seen really, really work with clients. We all want to be the hero. I would love to be someone's hero. It's like, it feels awesome and it's really inspirational, but you are not the hero here. Your guest is the hero. The guy planning an anniversary getaway for his wife is the hero. The mom planning her vacation for her family, she's the hero. You are the guide. Typically, I would call you Obi-Wan Kenobi, but since we are doing travel, it is Rick Steves.
Rick Steves. Oh, I was going to see if they could put it in
Oh,
the
I'm
chat.
sorry.
Everyone probably knows
Sorry.
Rick Steves. He's pretty.
I should have used the picture from the 80s, though. Then they wouldn't have recognized him.
Man.
That was,
when he
there was
first
such
started
a good
in the
picture.
80s, he's got this long hair.
Long hair, huge beard. Like, yeah, it was an epic photo. Not this guy. But Rick Steves, like many times we have gone someplace and we're like, okay, what does Rick Steves have to say about this? We're looking for the Obi-Wan for our experience. And so you want to be Obi-Wan for your guest experience, but you have to know who your guests are and what they're looking for. So could you?
And it's, you may get everyone, but it's not everyone. Really narrowing that down and speaking, the more specifically you can talk to them, the better. If we were doing a webinar right now on all types of local businesses, you know, and what you can do, you're probably going to tune out because your business has uniqueness. We're doing this for lodging properties. This has a lot more relevance. And similarly, when you talk to couples, you talk to families, you're not going to just do that all on the website. You're not going to exclude it unless you do that, like some of our clients where this is just a couple's getaway kind of experience. But you can still, you want to make sure that you give ample time. So where am I?
For sure. Can you head back to Camden homepage? So, so when you are talking about them, you need to present your hero with the opportunity to be heroic. You're going to lay out the desires, their hopes, and then you're going to give them like a dragon to vanquish. And like the idea with let's use romantic getaways as an example. It's not what you're going to find here. Well, I have both family friendly content and romantic getaway content, but for ease of examples, let's talk about romantic getaways. We're going to like that. You don't want another ho hum anniversary. You know, you don't want to pass another Valentine's Day with a cold stare from your wife because you didn't plan anything. This is the kind of things that you want to have incorporated in your language. You want to, again, emotion evoking copy to get them on board. And then you're not the hero for them. You're Rick Steves or Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, here, I have it planned for you, and you get to swoop in and be the hero of this. And so then they can book, they can look at your specials packages, especially if you are a romantic getaway place. Maybe you have like you had dinner on one night, or a romantic getaway package, or a picnic or something. That's just super easy add-ons for someone who's already been convinced that you have what they need to have this experience. And that makes them the hero of the experience that you're doing. So we write content that looks like that. So we have it up on here. Located where the mountains meet the sea is the.
Where do you want?
I was reading where it was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
That's
section.
okay.
Yes.
So we're painting that picture of where they are, enjoying Mount Batty and like the water, like the mountains and the sea coming together. Oh, okay. That sounds pretty. That's nice. These are our favorite things to do. You have access to all of these cool things. And I've done this in long form content, short form content, but the steps are basically the same. You want to talk to their desires. You want to talk to their fears, and then you want to be the guide that can solve that problem, that can provide a solution for them to make them the hero of the problem, of the story, basically. So
yes.
That's what we want to do in our content. And you can do that in a paragraph. You can do that in your emails. You can do that all throughout the content of your website, pointing over and over again to your guest being the hero. Always, as often as possible, without ever saying that they're the hero and that you're Rick Steves or Obi-Wan Kenobi, but using language, pictures to point them there.
Yeah, not saying you're the hero, you're the best.
You can be the hero of your vacation.
No, we're looking for subtle ways to reinforce that. And if you're not a writer, I think there's a good, better, best opportunity here. Being able to say, keep it, if you're not a writer and you're trying to do this yourself, keep it short, keep it visual based, and work on it over time to get it to that better stage. We can help you produce really in-depth copy, of course. I would say, if you can't get to that best option where you're really laying it out, because people will absolutely read this as they're interested, but if you can't get to that, start with good and then get to better. Don't feel like you're not going to touch it until you can make it perfect.
Yep.
It's all going to come down to building trust and authority with your guests, and then building that into a long-term relationship, starting with a booking there. All right, I'm going to dive into this, or you have anything else to say on the overall?
I mean, I could talk about that for a while, but
yeah,
go ahead.
I have things in my head as well. We'll end up doing a website webinar at some point here, and going much more into depth into like the whole framework that we use when developing a website, because you won't find you can get really expensive on visual websites, but and get really fancy. Our belief is if you have great visuals and a great design, but not an exceptional, it doesn't have to be this exceptional $20,000 website kind of level stuff. But if you have that design, but then you pay as much attention to the copy, the writing of it, then you're going to have a balanced site that really appeals to all senses.
And the functionality. You have to pay attention to those parts equally, or your website doesn't work for you the way that it's supposed to. Yeah,
the fact that there's action things easy to do up here that they're very visual, and then they can get everything they need in this menu. You'd be surprised how many folks are lacking some of those basic things that make it an easy to use website. And those are just a couple examples.
Yeah.
We want to talk real quick on websites about specific COVID related things for your site to consider. And we've talked about this a little bit in the last webinar. I just want to touch on this and then get into more detail. But the first is your strengths. As likely a smaller property. If you're a bigger property, there's lots of things that you can emphasize as well. But most independent properties tend towards the smaller side. We work with an 80-room place, and it's great. They have some unique challenges, and there's obviously properties that are much larger than that. And so you can, but encouragement work towards your strengths, and then we'll get into some specific practices to talk about and consider from a marketing perspective. So I think the biggest one is stay small, stay safe, stay at a small property, not a hotel. And these are things, I guess before I dive into these are things that you can talk in a large way on your website. You can talk in your email. They can build into your website in different pages. Maybe you have an amenities page, maybe you have a breakfast page, and you're building in that story. So it's not just, hey, one big letter, like we showed you here, where we've got all the details, but you're actually building that in, because that's what's people are gonna be really looking at when they're going through your site. So it's getting into those details of the site and making sure those adjust for all this stuff over the next 2 pages that we'll talk about.
It's not hyperventilating because I have this checklist of stuff I have to get out all at this one time. It's crafting an exceptional story through every bit of content we put out. Mm-hmm. And like Matt said, there's a good, better, best. Don't wait until you can do best. Start crafting an exceptional story. Mm-hmm. You have such a unique perspective on your property. You can start crafting that right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So staying at a small property, not a hotel. If you are a hotel, then talking about the practice that you are, but if you are a small property, emphasizing that, I think people are going to really drive towards that. You're a professional hotel, you're a professional inn, maybe you own vacation rentals, whatever it is, have a professional distinction. You're not on Airbnb. I think people are going to have a lot more trust in folks that are marketing themselves, not just sitting on a marketplace, especially Airbnb, known for people that are, tend towards more amateur level. They have not poured their blood, sweat, and tears into this. They're kind of capitalizing on that. Nothing wrong with Airbnb. I encourage properties to get on there for the additional exposure. to pull more people in, so you can then run the promotion booster triangle towards them. But yeah, you're a professional and they're going to have trust for that. We'll talk more about that in the cleaning aspect. Yeah. Hopefully you're a drivable location. That's going to really help if you're a rural location. If you're that, even if you're urban, like some of our inns, you can talk about, we're a little pocket, inside of here, or talk about those practices. These are just some ideas to emphasize.
It makes everything really walkable then, so you can be outside, because being outside is still a fine thing to do. So then everything is very walkable and things like that.
So nearby on-site outdoor options, even if you're in an urban area, talking about the hiking trails, talking about walking trails, things that are outdoor options. I think about for Erie, for Spencer House, Steve, for, I'm trying to, Presque Isle, I think.
Presque Isle, yeah.
That whole peninsula. Yeah. Oh, that's a little different. That's not close to Erie. That's a little different.
I'm not from there. Sorry.
I'm from Ohio, so I know. So Presque Isle, I mean, there's things to do. I don't know if it's open right now, but as you go on, there's even in the heart of Erie, there's things that are outdoors. If you have any cabins or cottages, anything with outdoor entrances, talk about a flexible cancellation policy. That's going to be a real opportunity. And then highlight, like we talked about, types of stays and get into more detail. So is this a secluded family getaway or a family vacation, or is it more of a romantic retreat? So in different ways, highlighting some of those things. Yeah, Steve. Yeah, Presque Isle. Yeah.
Cool.
I did private school in Girard. I did private school in Girard, just south of Erie, so I was pretty familiar playing basketball and stuff across Erie. So, so think about those strengths. And then we haven't listed everything here. Not everything's going to apply, but think about, some of those strengths and then build that into your marketing. I think, that's going to be a real benefit. So the second piece is practices, things you're already doing or probably thinking about, but changing out from a marketing perspective, changing out photos and text on your site to show this. White sheets, white pillows, bedspreads, things that are obvious that have been washed a lot, and then showing that on the website. I always recommend professional photography because it does absolutely make a difference in building trust and authority with potential guests. They don't have a brand name to hang their hat on. If I'm going to a Hilton, I know generally what to expect and what to experience, and I can kind of have some trust in that. I don't know with your so invest in the professional photography, but in the short term, if you need to get good photos, take your iPhone and do that.
Make sure the lights are on.
Make sure, the lighting is good. It'll suffice. It'll be better than having some things. So if you're changing those, do that as an intermediary step, and then get a local real estate photographer, architectural maybe, or if you are good with spending some bigger money, get a B&B in specific photographer. Those are always the best. I've got, for those of you who are in Ohio or nearby, I've got a guy that's reasonable and down in the Ashland area that he would travel. He's very good. Obviously there's the big guys like Jumping Rocks, love them. Unique angles. They just got some big travel fees, happening there. So breakfast, think about fixtures, table set for two, but a distance from others, delivered to the room. Maybe it's disposable packaging, showing that, not just telling them, but showing that in your photo gallery on your website, changing out. Maybe you serve breakfast at a big table, everyone's next to each other. That's not going to be a thing anymore. At least for the time being. And so, take that off, replace that. Cancellation policies, update those for the next couple of months at least. I would encourage you highly. And then reasonable property policies. I see a lot of folks that have gotten burned, and then they've made a policy that really protects them from that. You get too many of those and people are going to look at it and say, I don't know about staying there. It looks like I'm gonna have to be on eggshells. So you obviously don't want you to get burned, but think about that. And from a marketing perspective, and how that works. There's going to be people that abuse things no matter what. So there's just take a look at that with some fresh eyes. That may help convert more people to bookings, especially in this time. Cleaning policies are clear, obviously public and high touch areas. If you're a ALP, Association of Lodging Professionals, you are also, I believe, check with them, AHLA, Association of Hotel and Lodging. I'm messing that
association.
up. They're the big guys
for sure.
Yeah, they're the big guys. Anyway, I've got a link here when I send out the slides. It goes to their Safe Stay program that you have a logo, give some certification.
And like checklists for these things.
Checklist on things that you can do to give trust to guests and to help your property stand out with your cleaning. So no touch, any text or pictures showing people they don't have to self-isolate. So just think about that perspective from marketing communication through your website. People are going to pick things up, from your site and from your marketing. Changing those out is going to be useful.
And on first glance, people are going to see it via pictures. Yes, they're always going to come back and they're going to read that story if you've compelled them via photos to do so. So if you can show that in as many ways as possible, including on social media, it's going to be really compelling to somebody.
Yes.
As you tell it, as you craft an exceptional story.
All right, before we move on and get to the longer term thing, and thank you for sticking with us. We're an hour in. We're shooting for an hour. We're going to be a little bit over, but thank you for sticking with us, everyone. But any questions about the website? We went over quite a few things fairly quickly in that. Just put it in the chat if you have any questions before we move on and jump off to content.
Your website is living and breathing, as much as anything can online. So it's okay to make changes. You're not going to break the internet. You're probably not going to break your website. And it's always got the ability to go back to like a past save. Say you did click something you didn't mean to, so that you can make some of these changes. You can try this text out. You can try it again tomorrow. Especially for somebody who feels like writing is a chore, like writing a grocery list is a chore, writing a website's going to feel like an even bigger chore. So just, a couple sentences at a time and hit save and then come back to it again tomorrow.
Yeah, it's kind of like personal health. What you eat and how you move and exercise makes a big difference. And if you can do a little bit at a time, you're going to be overall healthier. We all know that. We all struggle with doing it. Similar with our marketing, with our website. And obviously working, if you're at a place where you can work with some type of partner, we're trying really hard not to sell, but to educate. But, whether it's with us or others, there's value in having that partner where they can help you make those changes more quickly. But it's absolutely in our day and age, can be done yourself, especially if you're cash flow struggling or you're small or whatever that looks like. If
you're willing to work at it, there's ways to do it for sure.
Yeah. Okay, good. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Steve.
I assume Matt put content as third because he wanted to see how fast I could talk about content, and I already talk fast, so I'm going to try not to talk at warp speed. I put it last, I guess, because it's longer term. This is actually where we are devoting more and more of our effort because that's where we're getting more and more traction. Yeah.
And a lot of folks aren't doing it. They're just, a lot of vendors like us do a lot of cookie cutter kind of content. Yeah. And we're finding a lot of traction when it's done well. So I'm actually most excited in a lot of ways about this because we've been doing this for a number of years now. 2015, but yeah.
2014, right?
2014. I think we got a little more in our groove in 2015.
Oh, sure.
We got with Christopher Place. But
I see.
Anyway, so content that compels. Take it away, Liv.
Okay, so any of you who have been doing this for any amount of time, you have been heard how content is king. It's going to really get people to your website. I already told you that your website is not Field of Dreams. So you're supposed to get content that Google's going to search for. I think, unfortunately, two things happen when we talk about content. One is that people use terms and language that we don't understand, and we think maybe that we understand them, or we don't understand them. And so then we're less equipped to go forward than we were when we started. Or two, we were like, well, I've already sat through this talk. I don't need to do it again. If I notice a lot of people start dropping off right now, I'll know that that's how you all feel too. No, I'm just kidding. But That's a real problem with content. The other part being that the reality is that for some people, writing a text message is too much writing to do in a day. The fact that I have to email my staff is too much writing to do in a day. So sitting down to craft anything in the 1,000+ word category, like that's where we're looking at here, feels enormous. So I'm going to talk to you about content that you're already creating, that you're already doing a good job at, and how to stretch that into as many means as possible. And then I'm going to talk to you about our bread and butter content, which is discovery content or travel channel content, being Rick Steves in your area. So connection content. This is content that you are already doing. I'm sure of it because you love having people at your property. And so you're already doing this. This is Carol from Fall Farm. She's super good at this. Like, if you're not sure that you're doing this, follow her on Facebook because I'm sure that you are. She is, but you maybe want to look at how you're doing this. So this is connection content. This is building relationship content. It's engaging. I know in stage 1, Matt showed you William pouring coffee and bringing breakfast out, just like we're saying at the inn. That made me so happy. I was like so happy to see breakfast still happening, even though like everything else feels like it's so abnormal. This is content where you encourage people to dream or to that emotion evoking, that gallery that we showed of Christopher Place. Do you have that up here somewhere?
What's that?
The ad with the gallery.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That view on the veranda. I lived in the Smoky Mountains, and I still, every time I see that, I think, ooh, I want to go to there. Like every single time I see that picture, and we use that picture a lot because that picture, not that exact one, but somebody else taking that same picture, because you know what? Every guest takes that picture because every guest goes, when they see there. So we're sharing that picture over and over and over again. This
is actually a thing that you can do yourself, is take pictures. You have rocking chairs, you have chairs looking out over something.
Yeah.
You know, it could be just, if you've just got a small, backyard garden, do it that. But something about this type
Porch
of picture, people can put themselves in that chair and take a look. Judy, I know you guys have an awesome pond out there. That would be a great thing for, chairs. And you may already have this, but like that kind of picture really resonates with people. They can really put themselves in that spot. They don't have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to get there. It's like, boom, I want to be there.
Yep. So you're already doing this probably. Certainly your guests are doing it for you, and they're hashtagging, or they're, is it geopin? Is that what it's called? Like on Instagram, I just type in the property's name, and you might not have it posted it, and your guests may not have tagged you in it, but their location tracker on their phone was turned on. And so I can pick that up as a geopin, and I can share that. You don't even have to take the picture. Somebody has probably taken them for you. Where are your guests hanging out? Go take a picture there. Go sit there and just show like your knees so they can picture their own selves being there, kind of thing. Running the water in your jacuzzi tub. Just those things that your guests love. And then building relationship. This, like what Carol did with the 40th anniversary post, I know Matt showed in stage 1. I know that we've talked, she just redecorated a lot of her inn. So she's going to do some posts about why she chose the way she chose to decorate some of her rooms to make them feel so cozy and welcoming. Recipes. One of our clients, they share recipes or cooking kind of things from their chef. We're not just sharing our own clients. We're happy to share best practices that we see across the board. There's somebody's in New England, and I couldn't tell you exactly where, but they regularly share recipes, especially when they're closed for the off season. They're in the kitchen creating new recipes that they're excited to share in the spring when they reopen. And so they're sending those recipes out all winter to engage with people. Those are all things that build relationship. That's all things that, like, it's not just, hey, I stayed at Fall Farm. I'm excited to see Carol when I get there. I'm excited to see Steve or Jerry or Paul when I get to where I'm going. And so it's that idea of building a relationship with people for more than just your property, but also with you you're going to interact with them when you're there.
Yeah. And just to build on that, I see the comment about Google Strong Content. We'll get to that. Or is that where you're kind of, you're not worried about Google with this stuff?
Yeah, connection content is relationship
There's
based.
ways you can build it in. I wouldn't worry about that. I would just focus. This is connection with your guest.
Mm-hmm.
Throw Google out the door. You're sharing a recipe. You're
Yep.
sharing that emotional dream. Sometimes you're connecting with that guest. Google will come in the next.
Yep.
The next piece. It's really powerful. It is not everything, though.
It is not everything. And sure, some of these could double up if that's something that you want to do, but you don't have to. Connecting can just be connecting. You can just be growing a relationship with people. You can just be creating great content to send out in your monthly, bi-weekly or weekly newsletter, however you decide to send that out, social media, etc. So connecting with past and future guests, especially on social media, you have a lot of people who have not necessarily stayed with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a great way to keep building that. The other content piece is, thank you. Travel channel content or discovery content. Mm-hmm. This is where we answer your question, Paul, that you said, I'm so confused about Google strong content. It seems to work against the idea of compelling content. Okay. This is like a near and dear to me. I was at a networking thing and told somebody what I did for a living. And he assumed that because I write Google strong content that I do not write compelling content. That really got me feisty about what we do and wanting to do it better for our guests. Mm-hmm. You can write Google strong content while making it compelling. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about right now. It's sharing expert tips. You know your area better than almost anyone else because you've chosen to invest in it. You've had people stay with you who have explored great things. You've heard back from them. It used to be that simple as like leaving the travel bureau brochures out kind of thing. But now it's like, okay, I have 5 choices to do this thing. Which one is really the best one? And can you help me out with getting that? Just knowing the name of that person. It's the best of lists, the best restaurants in town, because you know who's going to have a piano player on a Thursday night and who's going to put roses at somebody's table for their anniversary.
This is another way for this hub and spoke model. You are the hub. As a lodging property, your guest is going to spend the most amount of time at your property considering and deciding what to do. They're not going to give the same consideration to the other things, but you can be that hub of information so that you can help direct them. It's what you do when they come on site anyway, or as they're planning their trip. You can do that earlier in the process and you can catch more people with that. But think about that hub. You are the hub for your local area, and you are your local area. Your local travel and tourism bureau and their website, they're doing the best job they can with limited budget. Often I find it is not nearly enough to bring you value alone. You have to become that. You are now, in a sense, that hub of media content. You're the travel channel for your area.
So you want something that's searchable, which is again what we're talking about. Think of the things that you're going to look for when you go on vacation. We just went for our 10th anniversary. We looked up the best things to do, the best restaurants, and I think that was possibly best festivals. We just weren't there that long. We didn't think we were going to catch a festival. Those are the things that we're going to look up every single time we go someplace. And the best things to do is going to give us other ideas of things to look at. Oh, I do want to look at museums in that area. Oh, I do want to go on a hike. But that best of list gets me started. So I'm planning a trip to, we went to Puerto Rico, so I'll use that as an example. Best things to do, San Juan, Puerto Rico. What's the list? What do I got to see while I'm there? How do we make that happen? And that's going to give me other ideas. That's what we're going to see as searchable content. Yes, it can be compelling. I'm going to show you how. But we also want it to be scannable when we're doing it. If we're writing 1,000 words, that's a lot. So we want to make sure we're using headers. I have a screenshot here. Headers, images, and short paragraphs. And we want to break it up by types of content. And I'll show you that more when we dive into actually an even longer post. And then we want it to be really shareable. You guys know if you're spending any time on social media, you're familiar with BuzzFeed, like, you know, those pictures that just pop up. We do a lot of those kind of posts of when we have great views in the area or really compelling views. So this is a Smoky Mountains client, Christopher Place. Smoky Mountains has a lot of great views. So we use those but we're still creating good written content to go along with it. It's not just pictures, and it's taking the time to curate that into one spot. So it's shareable, it's scannable, and Google loves it, and people love it. That's what high quality content is. Google's going to love it, and people are going to love it. So it is both compelling and SEO. It's qualitative and quantitative content. And I'm going to show you how. We do not live in a tourist area at all, not even a little bit. And so we did this for ourselves. We started creating this exact same content for the town that we live in, because it's not a tourist area. We're not taking this from like a tourist bureau or an inn here that we could be working with. So we decided to make it for ourselves. We do this. This is our first post that we do for everyone. We always do the best things to do in city name.
It is probably in your area, without a doubt, one of the most searched terms related to travel and tourism.
Yep.
Not activities, things to do in, and then think about, it could be a region.
Yep.
It could be, if you're Smoky Mountains, for instance, that's not a specific city name,
right?
But it could be that. Things to do in Erie, PA is probably a pretty good bet for you, Steve. Things to do in Presque Isle, maybe a little very, too much specific, but still there. And you could also go to like Eastern Pennsylvania, but I usually start with the city name. Western Pennsylvania. Yes. That'd be a
drive,
a little far for them from your property. So think about, sometimes it's
that
region.
Sweet spot.
What are people coming from? What is that sweet spot? A lot of times it's a city or town name.
Mm-hmm.
But things to do in, and that is the key. And then you build, there's lots of things to do. That's how you build.
So right there, that's quantitative SEO, good juice that you build into quality, compelling content. So this one we've been sampling with this. We started off writing these at 1,000. Actually, we started off writing these much smaller, got it up to, and doing it more like a list, just boom, 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 like 50 in a list, to just be the longest list that we could find, because that's how TripAdvisor does it. If you Google this in your area, in the top 5 is going to be the TripAdvisor links that don't link to anybody's website and give you reviews of people who spend time on TripAdvisor. It is going to be, it's not going to really help that much with anybody, because they're still going to have to do all of the research themselves. So we said, there you go. So we started doing just a longer list that actually linked to people's websites. We saw that was doing really good traction. And so we decided to make it longer. And we said, okay, our goal is 1,000 words. Those posts started performing super, super well. And then we said, okay, what if we can become even more of an authority in this area by having the absolute best list with the best content in it? And so we started doing 1,500 words. That's a big blog post for somebody who thinks, for anyone who's not a writer. I am. So like, to me, I'm like, bring it on.
Right.
But that's not.
We've got 2 to 3 others
we have
on
a
staff that are writers as well and do this content. So it takes someone really loving to do that. I'm not a writer. It'd take me a year.
It would probably take a year, yeah.
But it's still valuable to do. So that is one thing. If you're not a writer, doing it slowly would still be useful. Yes. Or you can work with somebody. You could hire a writer individually. You have a friend who's a writer. Say, hey, I've got the research. Can you write out and help me with that? There's lots of different things. Okay, great question, Judy and Jerry.
So I'll keep talking about this while Matt reads the question. So we're looking at this to make it a list, and we're going to look at, we're going to categorize it well, so it's super scannable. Mm-hmm. So we do always like parks and trails for hiking and biking. Golf is generally popular, so it's a good category to have. Best indoor things to do. You've already covered outdoor things to do. Museums, best shopping, romantic things to do because couples are looking. These are all terms that people are putting into Google anyways, and you're getting the juice off of them going to one big article that you've spent a bunch of time on. Not only that, but you can, you could have a whole, your hub is being built even more. You tag the best restaurants that you put in there, and you say, hey, that we put you on the best list of restaurants. That's going to be a super easy share for them on social media, and it fires people back to your end. The reason why we love this content and the best things to do piece as a starter is if you want to be the discovery and the quality, the quantitative and qualitative content in your area, then people, as they're searching and planning their vacation, when they're searching for the best things to do, the best restaurants, best festivals, they're going to see you over and over and over again popping up as they're planning their vacation. And so some people pick the place, the exact location first and then plan their vacation from there. Most people are doing research on a general area before they pick a place to stay. And so if you're doing research on a general area and yours is the name that keeps coming up over and over and over again as the most thoughtful and well knowledged person on the area, I'm going to say, oh man, I've seen this inn pop up like 6 times. I'm going to spend a lot of time looking at your website and at your offerings before I go over to like an OTA system to check for booking, like what other options are available in the area, because you look like the expert to me, and you're positioning yourself as the expert with qualitative and quantitative content that does both jobs at the same time. So this is just one post. We actually have 50 cornerstone pieces. Like we have 5 main posts that we write right off the first 5 we write every single time. And then we have a list of 50 that we work in different seasons, depending on where, the reason why we think this works, like the reason why we haven't created a site for this in our hometown is because that's how much the content works and how valuable it is to people who live there and are visiting there. It's valuable.
We don't just sell it to clients, but we are beginning to develop our own sites, starting with this, that takes that traffic and then utilize that for a business purpose. So there's real value in it. We do it, like I said, for ourselves. We're going to answer some questions here. Can I walk through an example of like results? Yeah. Is that
of course? Yeah.
All right. So
Matt's the numbers guy. I'm the word girl. Like that's just how we.
So just to kind of give you guys an idea of the potential for this and the value, there's lots of great ways to drive direct business. I love this because it helps you become a media asset for your area. So just quickly to run through, if you type in things to do in Rockport, Maine, I chose this one because this is a client that we started working with. They're down the road from the country, and they started working with early 2019. And we wrote this post in April 2019. And a couple months in, about midsummer, about 3-4 months after, we hit this spot here. So things to do in Rockport, Maine, pretty popular search term, especially during their high season. And this is our client here, Glen Cove Motel. You can see it doesn't always happen, and there's still value that we can't get above TripAdvisor because they're such a big authoritative site. So even if we're not, but in this case, we were able to pop above them and just take in a ton of traffic that they were otherwise getting. This is owned by the same property as who owns Country Inn. And so we actually target both for some different reasons. So this is the Country Inn who we talked about targeting the same. So we're 2 properties, same owner, gobbling up more local traffic and able to utilize that for business purposes. So just can give you an idea, and like this is a long in-depth post, pictures, all of that kind of stuff. All about the area. And so we've gone through in depth using numbers and lists. We talked about that, really key to get people to click over, really helpful. And then here is, let's see here. I didn't get into the presentation. I want to show you. Here we go. I'm missing it. Okay, so this is that same post, best things to do in Rockport, Maine. And this is the Google search traffic month over month from April. We wrote it April, very little traffic, starting to really take hold very quickly, quicker than even we get sometimes. You can see this is 1,000 page views, 2,000. It peaked up here.
In their high travel season.
And then back down with their low travel season. So you can see that. So that once we hit some of those higher numbers, I mean, so that brought us over the course page views wise. This went through February because March and on it uncharacteristically tanked with coronavirus stuff. You can see page views. So this is not everyone's going to be a customer, but you had unique page views, 6,900 people over the course of almost a year from one blog post. And that's primarily from Google. People booked off of that. They called us off of that. And they, most importantly, became familiar with Glen Cove Inn and Suites. So it's not going to be in every place this, that you can have this volume of traffic or this quick. But what if you just had 1,000 extra people visiting? It's going to impact your business. It's going to allow you. There's all sorts of secondary effects from this. We've had clients that have been listed in media sites and newspapers and PBS featured because they did a Google search. Reporters do Google searches just like everyone else. I maybe lazy reporter, I don't know, but we get all sorts of features, and that further increases our authority. So just wanted to kind of walk that through with you to see the effects of some of that. And we're going to get some really good questions here.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there, I know we're getting to about an hour and a half, so we need to respect people's time on this.
Yep.
So is there anything else I know there's a lot there.
So the question that you're asking is, do I recommend that you write this post? I recommend that you have this post on your website. Yes, absolutely. Yes. I recommend that good would be a start. For Google to pick it up, it needs to have 400 words. Okay. So that's a good start. And you should have a little counter at the bottom of your website, so you don't have to guess how many that word says or keep count as you're writing. We're looking at sweet spots from Google being between, when you get over the 1,000 or even 1,500 word mark. But start with good.
Assuming quality is involved there.
Yes.
It's not just the length. But.
Yeah, it's not just length. It's there's a lot of it's a art and a science is what it is. It's making sourdough bread. That's the analogy I always use. It's not just about measuring, it's about temperature and all of those things. So yes, I recommend that you have this piece on your website.
Yes, and it has to be located on your website. It can't be on Facebook. It has to be public and on your website for that website to then get benefit later from that.
So then you saw all those sections that we had on our list. So to answer your question about like Presque Isle and the wineries, Steve, yes, so you'll have those sections in that first main post. And then as you go, of course, you can break those individual sections out into their own full post. And then you can link back and forth between each other. You want a more complete list about wineries in the area? Click here, and it goes over to the 28 best. I know you guys have a ton of wineries in that area. The 28 best wineries in the area. Jerry and Judy, you guys have the covered bridges. Maybe that's something that you can pull out and do. Then you can do a special pullout of Presque Isle, but you're able to link back and forth, and it just creates a web around your hub to just make everything stronger. And it's all, again, it's a mix of qualitative and quantitative. People want good information about your area. Google wants to find the best information about your area, and people are not creating this. TripAdvisor's trusting algorithms. Thanks. Okay, I always get that word wrong. TripAdvisor's trusting algorithms and reviews to do this work for them. People are trusting you, an actual expert in the area, to do this for them. And that's what's going to make you just absolutely stand apart from anybody else.
So, and she covered it, but just to make it clear, like this is one of your cornerstone pieces. The first post that we do.
Oh, it's the first post we do.
And then every section that you do, whether that's wineries, whether that's Jerry, covered bridges, things to do, Ashtabula County. Well, covered bridges, you later break that out and do a whole dedicated post on that. And then, so it's like these big authoritative ones, and then you break them out and go more in depth with certain areas that would be beneficial and whatnot. So we didn't cover a lot of technical SEO.
Sure.
Didn't want to bog you guys down, but we can go over some more of that in the future. Or you can shoot us a question.
I was gonna say too, and I know that we're just so that you got it, I can feel like good, better, best is like hiring somebody to do this, and that's our only option. And that's, especially mid-pandemic, still not an option. We totally understand. A better option, maybe after you have a go at this on your own, and in a couple months when you want to grow it, you may want to consider like coaching in this, so that you're still the one writing it, but so that you're getting all those technical points. So that's a service that we offer. I'm being honest about services, I'm not trying to funnel anybody into doing that right this second.
No,
I'm giving this absolute tool to you.
We've talked about a lower cost option than us. We do done for you services. So we handle it all, and you are involved in the process. You don't do any of the work. So that's not always a cost-effective way. We find is the most effective way to get really good results.
Because of that mix of art and science.
Because of that mix of art and science that, we've been doing this now for, since 2014 for properties. But anyway, we're exploring going to do a test option of a group coaching where you guys are doing the work, but we're meeting regularly and you have homework assignments to do, maybe perhaps over the course of a month or so, and we're meeting and giving you those pointers so that you can get that feedback that you need. So as an option, and doing it around specific topics, whether that's increase, your website,
cornerstone content like
this, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So it's not, but we've been trying to figure out how do we serve well, but still we like to maintain that. When we get our hands dirty, we want to maintain a high level of quality. So anyway, if you have interest in that, look out for that. If you have a lot of interest, let us know. Very interesting concept, Steve.
And then
cool.
And then we'd be able to video or screen share the technical aspects that are the hard part sometimes of learning some of these things. So that we're not done for you, but we can show you how to do what you need to do. There's still that mix of art and science kind of thing. But getting you to a better option than trying to figure it out on your own, certainly. Yeah. So we're getting some interest in that, about that. Okay.
Awesome. Okay,
cool.
Okay.
Good. That's good to know.
Yeah, we've talked about it. We've been so hopping. We haven't put together a whole program, but knowing that will give us some impetus to get it done and
for sure, and
roll out a beta test on that. So
content's a really big overarching area. We are happy if you have specific questions. I know that when you hit reply to the email, I will see it if it is about content specifically, whether that's crafting an exceptional story for your website or creating that cornerstone content for your websites. And actually, if you write this blog post, would you send me a link to it? Because I'd actually like to see it and let you know just some great things that you pulled out from your area. So send it to me when you get it done. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, did you say you're going to just email? She's also Leah.
I'm Leah at Red Oak Local, but I figured if they hit reply to anything they got from you, you'd make sure I saw it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. We like to try to stay small because we enjoy working with, not a huge amount of clients where we can't do really good service. So we've stayed small and stayed personal because that's how we enjoy doing business.
I think it's why we're drawn to independent lodging properties. You guys like the hands-on of being with your guests. We like the hands-on of being with our clients. And so we do that. We have a very high level of touch because that's the way that we like to do and experience business, just like you. So it makes for a great relationship, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
There at the bottom, or the top again, I mean. There you go.
Okay. So a couple weeks, join us. We're going to talk about stage 3. We're going to dive in. We'll probably try to narrow this down even more.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about strong demand. So if you're in the North, you're still under lockdown, you're not getting many guests, have hope. Like I'm looking at some folks in Tennessee, especially, people are booking weddings. They're booking stays to come immediately in May. They're also booking further out, some real money, thousands of dollars of bookings coming in and I'm like, wow, I did not think it would come this quick. So I hope when we talk about stage 3 that you're already getting into trickle demand and we can talk about it. So just have hope that as things, we don't know what's going to happen, what kind of fluctuations, roller coaster we're going to be on, but people have been cooped up in their homes in large part for the last 6 to 10 weeks, as we get out through some of this. There's a lot of
they want to go
that.
someplace else.
What I don't want to do is be home for a long time, and I'm okay with being home typically, but prison planet. Yes, exactly. So I think that's great for travel because I think people are ready.
Yep. But they want to travel safely. So that's why, like you said, independent places are going to be where people are looking, and that's awesome.
There's going to be a section of people that should not travel for a while because they're maybe, not in a group that they're in a sensitive group, or they have fear about it. But there's a lot of people I think that are ready to travel. Yep. So, all right. There's more resources. We'll send this out. You're already probably on our newsletter. There's on demand that you can see recordings, and we offer a strategy session, no pitch, 45 minutes on with me. And we'll talk. And if I've failed, if I haven't given you 2 to 3 things that you can do this week. We'll talk more in depth, but okay, thanks, Steve. So sign up for the next session. So yeah, so there's a lot of more resources we're trying to put out. We've been focused on client work for a long time. We're trying to share this more widely, and appreciate you guys tuning in. So
yeah, thanks guys. This
yeah,
was a great way to spend an afternoon.
yeah, I was really enjoyed this. So hopefully it's valuable, and we'll get that out to you here this evening or tomorrow, depending. It takes a couple hours to edit out.
Especially when I talk for an hour and a half about content.
Yeah.
This is
So
my fault.
You guys
everyone.
you've hung on for a long time.
Yeah, you really have. You
we
guys are
appreciate
awesome.
that.
Hope you
So,
guys have pizza planned for tonight, so you have to cook now.
that's right. We certainly do.
We do.
So, all right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it's been a blast. And like I said, use us as a resource. Hit reply to the email. We're happy to help in more detail. So,
yep,
all right.
absolutely. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.